hypothermia. I have sent you the PPT. Hope everyone has gone through the PPT, and you all know about the hypothermia. What is hypothermia in newborn? It is different from adult. Hypothermia in newborn, we all know that it is the temperature of body, core temperature of the body, which is less than 36.5. And so what is the normal temperature of the newborn? It is 36.5 to 35.5 to 36.5 to 37.5 degrees Celsius. So if you are asked what is hypothermia, please mention the temperature range and below 36.5, mention in this way, and always mention the unit of the temperature, that is degree centigrade or degree Celsius. Most of the students tell that it is below 36.5, but what is it, Fahrenheit or anything? So you have to mention the degree. And then what is hypothermia and what is the grading? I am not going to discussing all the grades because that will take a long time. Just few salient points. You have to know the grading of hypothermia, and then you have to know what are the risk factors of hypothermia, and what are the symptoms of hypothermia, what are the preventive measures, and what are the management. So why the newborns are more prone to hypothermia? We have to know about the way of heat loss in a newborn. We all know that the 4 methods of heat loss: evaporation, conduction, convection, and radiation. All these you know. Among these, immediately after birth, evaporation is the most important thing, because the baby is wet with amniotic fluid. So at this moment, evaporation, due to evaporation, heat loss is very much there. So rapid drying is very much important. And there are also other modes of heat loss. So newborns babies are more prone to heat loss, and if there is any the imbalance between the heat production and heat loss, if heat loss is more and heat production is less, so baby is going to be hypothermic. So most of the case, baby is prone to hypothermia due to heat loss. And in such case where baby is prone to develop hypothermia due to less heat production, because baby in human, what is the source of heat production? That is our calorie generation by fat and carbohydrate. So mostly the brown fat, and babies has a mechanism of non-severing thermogenesis, which happens around the brown fat, and this brown fat is very much less in newborn and mostly in preterm babies. And there is also less amount of insulation by this fat, so baby is prone to hypothermia. And above all are the iatrogenic causes, like the baby is kept wet and baby is not dry, baby is kept over a wet surface, baby has urinated but no one changed that nappy, and baby is placed under a AC. All these iatrogenic factor. And rest the causes of hypothermia. Among the causes of hypothermia, these iatrogenic factors are main causes. And then the sickness, that is baby may be low birth weight, premature, and baby may be sick due to any cause, maybe hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is a cause and also an effect of hypothermia. So these are the various causes, and you have to go through the causes theoretically from the books. And what will be the symptoms? What will be the so risk factors are such that preterm baby, low birth weight baby, sick babies. These are also risk factors for hypothermia. And so, what are the symptoms of hypothermia? Obviously, the baby will be cold. Initially, the extremities will be cold. There will be color change, which is called the acrocyanosis, and then the whole body will be cold. In this case, while we divide the cold stress and severe hypothermia, we can assess this clinically, that I will show later. First, there will be acrocyanosis, then the whole body will be cold and color will be changed. There will be mottling, and baby will be ultimately lethargic, will not suck, will not take the feed, and there will be respiratory distress. And ultimately, if this hypothermia goes on for a prolonged period, there will be metabolic acidosis, and ultimately the baby can die. in severe case for prolonged hypothermia, even if baby can die. So these will be the symptoms. And so to prevent hypothermia, what we can do, we should take the precautions. So to take the precautions, we have to maintain the warm chain. You know the 10 steps of warm chain, and you please read from the books. I am not discussing all the steps one by one, because this will take long time. So among the warm chain, it starts from labor room to transport. At all the steps where a baby is taken care, you have to maintain the warm chain. And by these warm chains, immediate drying, breastfeeding, starting of breastfeeding, temperature often, even if after, if baby is how will you manage the baby? Maybe by external heat, by can I am using what will measures will take for mild hypothermia in others lab, etc. Severe hypothermia baby to the temperature, and we have to put the premature babies also in warmer. Baby is not hypothermic, that is to prevent hypothermia. The babies which are less than 34 weeks old and 8 kg, those babies are prone to hypothermia. So these essential babies are kept under a warmer, but at the lowest BMI, that is at the lowest oxygen consumption. A baby can maintain its body temperature, but with increased calorie. That is, baby is getting hypothermic, but he is maintaining body temperature by hyperventilating, by increasing heart rate. At which temperature? That temperature is not his its ideal temperature. That is not thermoneutral environment, thermoneutral temperature for it. There is a graph for each baby according to gestational age and weight, at which age, which temperature is ideal for that baby to keep its body temperature normal and its BMI least. So to keep the baby normothermic and in least BMI condition, we have to keep the baby in thermoneutral environment. So to maintain the thermoneutral temperature, we have to put the babies in separate warmer, and there will be a probe attached to the baby which can detect the baby's body temperature and will give heating output according to that. Okay, I am coming to the warmer later. So among the measurement, we will rewarm the baby according to its need, whether it is severe or moderate or mild, and then we have to treatment the other symptoms, like if the baby is hypoglycemic, we have to please give glucose bolus, we have to give IV fluid, etc. And if the baby is sick, what is the cause of hypothermia? We have to treat that cause. If the baby is sick, we have to treatment sick with sepsis, we have to treat sepsis. If the baby is lying in a wet linen, so we have to discard the wet linen. Otherwise, you are hitting from upwards and baby is still lying on the wet linen, that will not be helpful. So we have to prevent and also manage the proper treatment, proper cause. So after managing this, we have to also observe for a few hours that if the baby is able to keep it, and then if it is normal and everything is normal, then at room, when the baby will be discharged, and then baby can be kept in mother's lab. If it is premature, then the temperature at room can be maintained by kangaroo mother care. will show a picture of kangaroo mother care, and you can see it in any textbook, and you have to know about KMC, what is the position, what is the advantage, all this. Okay, so KMC is a step of maintaining temperature. So just now I am showing you the assessment of temperature and the parts of warmer. I think it is visible. It is visible. There is a doll. We assume this as a newborn baby, so we have to assess the temperature by keeping our palms and soles over the abdomen, and then the extremity, like this, not like this surface. Okay, the palms, and then the soles. We have to put our hands in this way, then and on the abdomen, on the bare abdomen, not over the dress, bare abdomen. Okay, then we have to assess if the abdomen is warm and the extremities are cold, then the baby is in cold stress, and if both are cold, then baby is in hypothermia state. So we have to then measure the temperature and treat accordingly. And now I am showing the parts of the warmer. Just I have sent you the pictures of warmer. I think you have, all have gone through. Just few points. You know, this is the heating rod. This is the heating rod, and the baby will be kept in the bassinet. Okay. There are a few modes. Is it visible? There are few modes. It is written here manual, and here it is written Sargo, or in many machines it is written as skin mode. And this is the temperature, infants measure temperature, and there is a panel named required temperature. So in this machine, it is kept in a manual mode, and there is a probe coming out from the machine, which will be attached to the infant's tummy, bare tummy. Okay, this is the probe, and this metallic part will be in touch of the skin of the baby's tummy. And with the help of this probe, the warmer will record the temperature. So there is two modes. Now I have changed the mode, that is servo mode. In many machines you will find it skin mode. So what are these modes? Servo mode is the mode in which the machine will decide whether how much heat output the machine will give. And in the manual mode, this is the warmer output, that is percentage, 0% to 100%. How much percentage of heat is going to give, the machine is going to give. So in manual, the output percentage we will fix, and in servo, the output machine will decide how much output the machine needs according to the baby's temperature. If we fix the required temperature as 36.6, and as baby's temperature is 33.2, that is less than the required temperature, machine has given 100% output. But if we set the required temperature very much less than the baby's temperature, then the machine will automatically stop giving the output. So in servo mode, machine will decide automatically the percentage of output. So which see, when our required temperature is less than the baby's temperature, at that moment machine stops giving output. So servo mode is always better, because if baby's temperature increases, machine will decrease giving output or stop giving output. So it is always safe and better for a newborn, and every baby should be put in servo mode in the warmer. Okay, I think I have taken enough time. Now Dr. Dinesh will discuss about sepsis and jaundice. If anybody, any of you have any queries, then after finishing the class, you will ask me, because it is too much taking time.
Today I just told you the two topics. One is neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, means neonatal jaundice, and another is neonatal sepsis. One thing is that here in neonatal jaundice, I just discuss about the what are the over definition. Mangsu, তো হচ্ছে না কেন? শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না? না শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, স্লাইডে যাচ্ছে না কেন? ও আচ্ছা, স্ক্রল করতে হবে না, সরি 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 সরি। Just what is the definition of neonatal jaundice and classification, and what are the etiological factors in neonatal jaundice, and how to evaluate neonatal jaundice, and what are the possible treatment and any other therapeutic options. Jaundice means yellowish discoloration of skin and sclera. You all are know. But here the definition of jaundice is something is total serum bilirubin or plasma bilirubin more than 95% of the 1 nomogram chart. That is called the Bhutanese nomogram over the 95th centile. And this is mainly due to the accumulation of this bilirubin pigment 4Z 15Z isomer. And we know that in a neonatal jaundice, jaundice develops around 60% of term newborn and 80% of preterm newborn. So this is too much high. So what are the causes of the neonatal jaundice? One is, we know jaundice is bilirubin is product of heme degradation. Bilirubin is product of heme degradation. So increased hepatic bilirubin load means there is, if there is increased RBC breakdown. Why increased RBC breakdown in newborn? We know newborn have increased RBC mass and also increased hemoglobin level, and neonatal fetal RBC have short lifespan. In adult RBC, the lifespan is 120 days. Here this around 80 to 90 days. And there is increased mass of this hemoglobin. কি ওয়েটিং এ কেউ আছে? আই ডোন্ট নো, কি করে দেখতে পাই আমি জানি না। Anyone is in waiting? Oh. Okay. ওকে 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 তখন আমি যাবো এখানে কোথায় যাবো okay second is increase enterohepatic circulation. Sometimes the newborn know that their meconium path is delayed passage of meconium, or if there is any intestinal obstruction, this causing the increased enterohepatic circulation. That means secreted bilirubin from the bile is reabsorbed and second time further pass on the liver. Third is hemolytic disease. Few states RBC have increased breakdown of RBC due to the RBC membrane defect. Say for example spherocytosis or elliptocytosis, and sometimes there is G6PD deficiency or pyruvate kinase deficiency. G6PD is antioxidant property. Oxidative stress, if there is oxidative stress and G6PD deficiency is there, so there is breakdown of the RBC. So increased RBC breakdown, increased production of the bilirubin. Third is RH isomerization or ABO isomerization. Miscellaneous cause, we know the polycythemia, increased mass of the RBC and accumulation of blood, say for example scephalhematoma or any other tonsil hemorrhage. Another cause is decreased hepatic clearance, means there is decreased uptake of the hepatic uptake of the bilirubin for conjugation and excretion. A decreased uptake on it maybe occurs in patent ductus arteriosus. Another is decreased uptake due to the decreased conjugation in Crigler-Najjar syndrome or Gilbert disease. There is classification of what are the classification of neonatal jaundice. We classify 2-3 ways. One is either physiological jaundice or pathological jaundice, and another is second is jaundice require intervention and jaundice doesn't require intervention. What are the causes of the pathological jaundice? We already discussed that 60% term newborn develop jaundice and 80% preterm newborn develop jaundice. So all jaundice is not pathological. Those jaundice are physiological, those are appears after 24 hours, and maximum intensity is 4 to 5 days in term and 7 days in preterm newborn. And TSB level, total serum bilirubin level within normal centile in age specific nomogram, and usually clinically not detected after 14 days and disappear without any treatment. And this is called the jaundice not require any news share nahi na. Hey baba, sorry ki holo? Oh sorry. Okay. And what is the definition of pathological jaundice? Definition of pathological jaundice is jaundice appear within 24 hours of life and increased level of bilirubin more than 5 mg per dl per day or at the rate of 0.2 mg per dl per hour, and serum bilirubin level more than 95th centile on the age specific nomogram. And if there is jaundice persist more than 14 days in full term baby, or other features of the cholestasis, means high colored urine, means mustard colored urine is called, the urine is high colored or clay or white color too. This is the features of the cholestasis jaundice. And if there is direct bilirubin more than 2 mg per dl or more than 20% of the total serum bilirubin level. What are the differential diagnosis? of the neonatal jaundice, which is appear within 24 hours of life. If you jaundice appear within 24 hours life, we are seeing that this may be RH or ABO isoimmunization or infection separation torch infection or G6PD deficiency. You three things you remember if jaundice appear within 24 hours of life. One is RH or ABO isoimmunization. Second is G6PD deficiency. Third is torch infection. If jaundice appear within 24 to 72 hours of life, we already discussed about the physiological jaundice, or maybe due to the jaundice aggravated due to the sepsis, polycythemia, interventricular hemorrhage, or there may be any cephalhematoma. In kids, enterohepatic circulation secondary due to the feeding issue or Hirschsprung disease. Any এটা কি আছে? এটা কেউ কিছু জয়েন করতে চাইছে? না।
হ্যাঁ, অ্যাডমিট করা জানি।
ওই আচ্ছা আচ্ছা। Okay. Second is, third is, if jaundice appear after 72 hours, what are the cause you think in mind? One is sepsis, second is cephalhematoma, third is neonatal hepatitis, and extrahepatic biliary atresia, metabolic disorder, IEM or G6PD deficiency, or breast milk jaundice. Classically, G6PD deficiency sometimes appear within 24 hours of life, or maybe appear usually G6PD. Second is peak is usually baby is okay in first 48 hours, then peak high peak of rise hemoglobin bilirubin after 72 hours of life. This type of baby needs immediate extension or infection. Okay. So how you manage the patient? One is diagnosis. Second is how to monitor the newborn about the neonatal jaundice, and what are the possible treatment for this neonatal jaundice. You take history, that following history you must take. One is gestational age and age of onset and duration of disease, appearance of bilirubin, and history of lethargy, irritability, convulsion. That means you may be suspect either neonatal sepsis, or there may be baby may develop acute bilirubin encephalopathy. Feeding history, if there is less intake of calorie, the jaundice appearance of jaundice is high, because you know that calorie intake, if there is any newborn having less calorie intake, will develop jaundice. And others, all the history, female history of jaundice, anemia, splenectomy, and possible siblings, previous siblings history, or antenatal death and morbidity in the family. And you also check the urine color and frequency, if there is any, because the neonatal cholestasis, you detect neonatal cholestasis, first symptoms appear in neonatal cholestasis is high colored urine, then clay color stool. Clinical assessment. Clinical assessment দেখানো যাবে এখানে? You just say clinical assessment is one is you just check the skin, you naked the baby and see on the daylight or bright light, and you just clinically see the appearance of jaundice in skin staining depends on the cephalocaudal distribution. Means if the jaundice level is less, so distribution is mainly head and neck. If there is gradually increasing the level of bilirubin, then jaundice is progressed to the cephalocaudal distribution. Severity of jaundice according to the clinical assessment, tremor staging of the jaundice. And you also see the other features. If there is any isoimmunization, you see the anemia and also see the features of dehydration, hepatosplenomegaly, complete. And you also others looking the clinical features of the cephalhematoma, bruising or bulging or antifrontally. Bulging of antifrontally, how can you detect? What clue you can get it? You got it. This may be chance of interventricular hemorrhage. So determination of jaundice level, one is visual inspection, second is transcutaneous bilirubin. You just screening instrument, you just check the bilirubin level, and then total serum bilirubin estimation by the serum total bilirubin estimation. Visual inspection, basically I just told you, just naked the baby and you see what are the site to see this jaundice level. First one is forehead, second is sternum, or any bony or the bony prominence. You just press the baby skin and then you just see only few seconds. Press it, then you see the staining of the bilirubin, whether this is yellow color or not. Blanching of the screen. According to the Kramer's rule, there is cephalocordal distribution of the jaundice is zone 1, face and neck. This is estimated bilirubin level is 5 to 7. Zone 2, chest and up to umbilicus, level of umbilicus 8 to 10. Zone 3, from the level of umbilicus to knee or thigh 12 to 15. And then 4, legs more 15, and more than 5 is more than 15. Here there is, I just opted, the leg is 15 and more than palm and sole more than 15. What are the fallacies of the Kramer's rule? If there is dark complexion baby, sometimes you cannot detect properly. And if there is any baby receive phototherapy, the skin is already, we cannot estimate the bilirubin level by this method. You should always check by the serum estimation of serum bilirubin. Transcutaneous bilirubinometer. In our unit, we also have transcutaneous bilirubinometer. You just tip of this transcutaneous bilirubinometer, you just paste over the forehead or sternum 3 times and you record the 3 average level. What are the advantage of the transcutaneous bilirubinometer? Because we know the premature baby, very difficult to draw the blood every 12 hours or 18 hours. So this is the screening method, whether baby develops jaundice or not. And usually, if there is serum bilirubin level less than 14, this instrument is very good. But if there is serum bilirubin more than 14 or 50, this transcutaneous bilirubinometer cannot give proper estimation, unreliable if there is severe jaundice. Third is total serum bilirubin estimation by the blood, venous blood gas. What are the indication you do the total serum bilirubin? If jaundice appear within 24 hours of life, or your clinical assessment or transcutaneous bilirubin assessment, if there is jaundice is more than 12 14. Third is TCB value and transcutaneous bilirubin value close to the phototherapy level. And you should do, during phototherapy, you should always do TSB, not by any transcutaneous bilirubin or clinical. After 6 hours after phototherapy, you cannot assess by these 2 methods. You always send the total serum bilirubin. I admit. There are different methods for total serum bilirubin. Our method is micro method. Basically, spectrophotometry method. Second is diazo method, but we are not following. And third is gold standard is high performance liquid chromatography method. Is a gold standard. but this is not available in our hospital. This is the age-specific nomogram of the bilirubin level. One is lower leg zone, intermediate zone, high intermediate zone, and another if there is more than 95th centile. We told the definition of neonatal jaundice is if bilirubin level more than 95th centile on the age, our specific gestational age and our specific nomogram, then we call the hyperbilirubinemia. What are the interpretation? And if there is bilirubin more than 95th centile, risk of severe hyperbilirubinemia is 57%. How to monitor high frequency monitor? You 4 to 8 only you monitor it, because there may be needs of the another possible treatment option. Second is 95 to 97 centile. 13% patient develop severe hyperbilirubinemia, and we also monitor 12 hours. And less than 40 centile, no risk, and you can monitor after discharge or after 3 to 5 days. After discharge, 3 to 5 days, you monitor it. And if there is 40 to 75 centile, you monitor within 48 hours. X factor. Specific diagnosis. Specific diagnosis means you just measure total serum bilirubin level. Then you, if there is serum bilirubin level is too high, you just do this Coombs test, direct Coombs test, and blood grouping, both mothers and baby, RH, ABO, all the things. Then you follow the bilirubin level. If there is Coombs test is negative, you also do the peripheral blood smear. If there is Coombs test is negative, you do the peripheral blood smear, whether this is any features of hemolysis or not. And at the same time, you do the reti count. If there is features of hemolysis, you send the GCPD or blood GCP level or pyruvate kinase level. Or if you see the direct hemoglobin is very high, then you just rule out cause of the cholestasis. When and how to intervene this hyperbilirubinemia baby? You just put the bilirubin level, AAP chart, American Academy of Pediatrics guide, phototherapy and exchange guideline, phototherapy guideline. You put on this nomogram whether baby needs phototherapy or not. Phototherapy needs mild to moderate hyperbilirubinemia, and if there is severe hyperbilirubinemia, you do the double volume exchange transfusion. Two option is there. This is the AAP guideline of the hyperbilirubinemia and treatment protocol. You just put the bilirubin level according to the nomogram chart, whether baby needs phototherapy or not. Just 3 lines. One is high risk line, means baby history of, say for example, RH or ABO isolation. Second is intermediate risk, and third is lower risk zone. All the things, intermediate risk is risk factor with 38 weeks or without risk factor 35 to 37 weeks. And infant with lower risk means infant with term infant with OL and there is no risk factor. What are the indication of the phototherapy in preterm infant? There are various phototherapy protocol in preterm infants, and different country have different chart, follow the different chart. But you see the term infant chart. Phototherapy is the mainstay of treatment and mode of action is photoisomerization, structural isomerization, and photooxidation. Photoisomerization, we already told that bilirubin, those are not bind to the unbound bilirubin, 4Z, 15Z. These are more toxic to the neuron tissue. And these are, oh, এটা কি হলো? কেউ জয়েন করতে চাইছে নাকি? আরে জয়েন করে তো আমি চলো। কেউ জয়েন করতে চাইছে তো স্যার। না তো ও না ঠিক আছে। ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে। Oh, if you give phototherapy, 20% of total bilirubin after 12 hours of phototherapy, and this more toxic form is damage the neuron tissue. And if you give the phototherapy, this photoisomerization produce the less toxic 4Z15E, which is water soluble and excreted through the bile, and this isomerization is always reversible. Second is structural isomerization. This is the most important thing in phototherapy to decrease the serum bilirubin level. Intramolecular cyclization to bilirubin to lumirubin, and this is 2 to 6% of total rapidly excreted and irreversible. This is the most important process, and this structural isomerization depends on the phototherapy intensity of the phototherapy. Phototherapy equipment, what are the light sources of phototherapy? There are various light sources of phototherapy. One is blue-green light spectrum wavelength is 460 to 490 nanometer. One is fluorescence tube. Second is fluorescence bulb. Third is light emitting diode LED bulb. Fourth is CFL or compact fluorescence light. Fifth is Billy blanket, fiber optic blanket. Baby will lie over the fiber optic blanket, and we give the phototherapy. Irradiance, minimum irradiance is 30 nanowatt per centimeter per nanometer. Distance is 30 to 45 centimeter, and ambient temperature is, you should keep 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. Maximum body surface area should be exposed, and baby should receive adequate feeding and nutrition and hydration. You always assess the hydration status and monitor the urine output, because photoisomerization or photooxidation, this bilirubin product goes into the intestine and irritate the intestine, and there is increase the transit time, slow the transit time of the intestine, and there is chance of the diarrhea. So that is why dehydration is a common problem in phototherapy, and you should assess, increase the monitoring the urine output and monitor the temperature, hypothermia. If you give the LED phototherapy, there may, without starting the warm-up, there may be chance of the hypothermia. How you increase the phototherapy dose means irradiance. One is you can increase the irradiance. Second is maximize the body surface area. Say for example, you give the one Billy blanket under surface of the baby, and from the both the side you give the two LED. So that is maximum body surface area should be covered. When you use, if there is rapid rise of bilirubin, if there is more than 5 mg per DL, more than 5 mg DL per hour, if there is a rise of bilirubin, or there is TSB within total serum bilirubin level within 3 mg or threshold of the double volume exchange transfusion, and failure to respond single surface phototherapy within 6 hours of life. Always you should draw a blood after 6 hours of life. Whether you check whether there is maybe chance of phototherapy failure or not. And you can also double the surface of the phototherapy, and you can increase the intensity of the phototherapy machine up to 60. When you stop the phototherapy, if there is bilirubin level less than 2 mg per dl below the cutoff, when you start the level and you also the same level, you check whether TSB value below the cutoff, 2 mg below the cutoff, and you should check the bilirubin after 12 hours. If there is preterm baby or birth weight less than 2000 grams or GCPD density, otherwise you check every 24 hours. After 24 hours, rebound bilirubin. What are the complications of phototherapy? If you use fluorescence light CFL phototherapy, there may be chance of the bronze baby if you give phototherapy associated with conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, skin rash, loose motion, and there is damage of the retina. If you are not properly sealed the eye, there is a chance of the damage of the retina. Another treatment option is, if there is phototherapy failure and bilirubin level is too high, needs double volume exchange transfusion, means removal of the fetal blood, neonatal blood to replace another blood. Basically, remove partially hemolyzed and anti RBC along with unattached antibody, replace them with donor RBC. Single volume exchange transfusion, around 55 to 60% blood volume is replaced. If you double the volume means, if suppose there is adult blood volume is 5 liters, and if you replace the adult double volume, then 10 liter blood is required. At the same time, term baby have 80 ml per kg blood volume. So you replace the 180 ml or 160 ml per kg blood to fresh blood. And double volume exchange transfusion, there is 90% blood is exchange. In triple volume exchange transfusion, around 95%. That is why you are not do the triple volume exchange transfusion, we do the double volume exchange transfusion. There is no benefit. What are the indications of the double volume exchange transfusion? If there is isoimmunization, if cord hemoglobin level less than 10 and cord bilirubin more than 5, and rise of TSB more than 1 mg per dl per hour despite phototherapy, or 0.5 mg per dl per hour if hemoglobin level 10 to 12. And double volume exchange transfusion done according to the AP chart and Mitchell chart for the preterm baby. ঠিক আছে, তুমি কি কোনো other treatment modality is, sometimes we can give the phenobarbital and IVIG basically we give the RH isolation or ABO isolation case to prevent the exchange transfusion. Metalloporphyrin, there is not up to till now, or we are not know this about this. We are not till now, we are not used these things. Because any question about the hypothermia, just you can ask Dr. Gargi, so she just answer you.
Hello. If anyone has any question on hypothermia, please ask me. For 5 to 10 minutes, I will interact on it, and then Dr. Dinesh again will talk on sepsis. Very short. Hello. Please speak loudly. Very faint. The noise is very faint. Oh, 1 minute. Can I make it? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please repeat?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it is audible. Please repeat the question.
Yes, ma'am. My question is regarding hypothermia. Ma'am, could you explain Mazel's chart once more?
Which one?
Ma'am, Mazel's chart for starting of phototherapy and blood.
No, your question is on jaundice. It is not on hypothermia.
Yes, ma'am.
I am asking. Yeah, Dr. Dinesh will answer the question. If you have any queries on hypothermia, please ask me.
Ma'am, why is injection vitamin K used in severe hypothermia?
The injection vitamin K is given to all newborns prophylactically because there is a chance of hemorrhagic disease of newborn in every newborn due to vitamin K deficiency. That's why it is given to all the babies. But those babies who are suffering from severe hypothermia, as I told, that we have to treat the other symptoms and other possible causes. So, so that the no added hemorrhage, there doesn't take place any added hemorrhage. So, just as prophylactically, we should give the vitamin K.
Okay.
Every baby is after birth, vitamin K is given prophylactically, not only for the babies of hypothermia. Okay. Then,
okay.
Have you do you know about kangaroo mother care? I have not discussed it. এই ছবিটা কোথায় গেল রে? হিমাংশু? KMC ছবিটা? কোথায় গেল সেই ছবিটা? আমাদের ওটাকে ক্লিক কর একটু ওপেন So anyone has any queries? I think hypothermia is clear to all. Is it visible to everyone? KMC? It is visible, okay? So this is the KMC position. Baby will be kept between mother's naked breast. Baby's abdomen and chest, there will be no covering on baby's abdomen and chest, and there will be no cloth on mother's abdomen and chest, okay? Direct skin to skin contact. Then baby will be placed in a frog-like position. Both the arms, 4 arms are flexed. slightly flexed and head turned to one side and mildly extended so that mother's eye and baby's eye comes in contact, eye contact, direct contact. So baby, mother's temperature, mother's skin will maintain the baby's temperature, and it is not that when baby is hypothermic on that time mother will provide the temperature. It is not only that, when baby will be hyperthermic, that is the baby's temperature. When baby's temperature increases, mother's skin also absorbs the temperature and decreases baby's temperature, so that baby's normal temperature is maintained. So this is the KMC. It is appropriate. It can be done in any babies, but mostly in the preterm babies, low-birth-weight babies, it is done. There is a difference between this KMC and skin-to-skin contact, which should be started at delivery room, labor room. After delivery, the baby is, at that time, baby is kept on the mother's lap with the cord intact. Then all the initial steps of the resuscitation are done on the baby, with the baby kept on mother's lap. And then at this position is maintained, baby should be shifted out from the labor room with this position, with skin-to-skin contact, maintenance of skin-to-skin contact. But this is not equivalent to KMC. Most of the students have the concept that this is KMC. This KMC, skin-to-skin contact, is a part of KMC, and KMC is applied later, mostly in the premature low birth weight. After initial stabilization, the KMC is started. But first, baby has to be stabilized. That baby heart rate, saturation, oral feeding, all these have to be established. Then KMC should be done. Okay. And what are the advantage and disadvantage of KMC? Please read from any book. If you have any more queries regarding hypothermia, please ask. Otherwise, Dr. Dinesh will continue. তুমি কি তোমার স্লাইডটা আবার কন্টিনিউ করবে, না অন্য স্লাইড আছে? এটা দিয়ে করো, তো দিয়ে করো তাহলে।
Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay. Any questions about neonatal jaundice? What are the chart? Now, this is there are various countries. Follow, there is many charts in basically in preterm, but in term infant, everyone follow American Academy of Pediatrics chart. That means Bhutanese phototherapy chart, which is follow everyone. But only preterm infant, there are various charts. UK have one chart, South Africa has one chart, USA has one chart. So there is different chart. So chart is also same nomogram type pattern, and depends on the No, we cannot remember. I could not remember this all the value. But we just told that we follow this chart. Am I right? We just told that in term infant we follow this chart and preterm infant we follow this chart. Or not remember? Okay. I just told the sepsis, then you can just ask the scleroderma. Am I right? Okay? Okay. I start now the neonatal sepsis, diagnosis and management. What are the definition of neonatal sepsis? Sepsis is asymptomatic neonate develop sepsis if they have English factor. What are the definition of early onset neonatal sepsis and late onset neonatal sepsis? What is sepsis screen? What are the preventive measures and any other adjuvant therapy as like other disease also? So definition of neonatal sepsis is systemic inflammatory response syndrome secondary to the infection in the blood. Secondary to the infection. So what are the systemic inflammatory response syndrome? At least two of the following: if there is core temperature is more than 38.5 degrees Celsius or less than 36.5 degrees Celsius, means moderate hypothermia. What you say that the mild, moderate, severe hypothermia. Am I right? Another is tachycardia. Tachycardia, if there is heart rate more than 180 degrees, more than 180 beat per minute in case of neonates. And tachypnea, we know the definition of tachypnea. And third is increased or decreased TLC or 10% immature lymphocyte in peripheral blood smear. Any two of these things. Okay? This is called systemic inflammatory response syndrome. This systemic inflammatory response syndrome we always follow in pediatrics and adult, but here there is consensus based and intended for children and term neonate only. Preterm neonate is excluded. এই কোনো কেউ কিছু ইয়ে করছে হিমাংশু? Oh, admit. When applied to term neonate, half of the culture positive early onset did not fulfill. So that we are not always find this SIRS in every sepsis patient. Do you get it? But in children and adults, every sepsis patient should fulfill the criteria of systemic inflammatory response syndrome. We know the challenges. So, sign and symptoms, subtle ambiguous signs of the infection, and sometimes the symptoms as like the transition from in utero to the ex utero environment. That means, suppose baby develops congenital pneumonia, features are like respiratory distress, and X-ray as like there is RDS or any other meconium expression syndrome. So mimicking the features of the transition period. And third is developmental immaturity. That is why there is systemic inflammatory response syndrome not full every patient, neonate. And limited accuracy of positive predictive value of the ancillary test, what we are follow routinely. And third is, if there is, we start antibiotic after over treatment, outcome is very detrimental. And sometimes, if you are overuse the antibiotic, adverse clinical outcome is there. What are the features of the chorioamnionitis, means transmitted from the mother to fetus also. If there is any features of the chorioamnionitis, mothers develop fever 100.3 degree Fahrenheit Celsius more than, and two of the following: maternal uterine tenderness, foul smelling like a fetal tachycardia, or maternal tachycardia, or maternal PLC count is more than 15,000. We always want to look after whether maternal TLC. We always look after. And because of these clinical features, dilemma in clinical features, we follow the few clinical scores of the scoring system of the early onset neonatal sepsis. Intrapartum PV examination score is 6, means more than 3 PV examination. And if one PV examination without clean sterile glass, and clinical chorioamnionitis 6, birth weight is less than 1.5 kg, male fetus, male child not receive mothers not receive intrapartum antibiotic, and gestational age less than 30 weeks. These are scoring patterns. Early onset neonatal sepsis is if neonate develop bacteremia within 72 hours of life, we call the early onset neonatal sepsis. If there is newborn develop risk factor for born with risk factor for the neonatal sepsis, risk factor means following scoring system risk factor, baby had 2 or more risk factors. What in previous slide I told you. If baby is symptomatic, start antibiotic. Asymptomatic, you do the parental score in PETA. If there is score is more than 6, you start antibiotic. Means what I in previous slide what I told the scoring system. If less than 6, don't start antibiotic. No risk factor for early onset neonatal sepsis. Whether baby having symptomatic or asymptomatic, not start antibiotic. Extreme risk factor to start antibiotic irrespective of scoring system is very prolonged PPROM, preterm premature rupture of membrane more than 72 hours, or very prolonged labor more than 24 hours, or there is maternal septicemia. These are the things we follow. We start antibiotic without any other scoring system method. What are the organism profile, bacteremia and organism profile in early onset and late onset neonatal sepsis? Early onset means less than 72 hours infection. Late onset means after 72 hours of the life infection. Indian data has both similar early onset and late onset, and most of the organisms are gram-negative organisms. Acinetobacter basically in common in India because of the oxygen port have. We use the for the moisturizing of the oxygen we use the water. Sometimes Acinetobacter is go in this water trap and causing the infection of the newborn. And there is because of liberal use of the antibiotic in our country, we have high degree of multi-drug resistance in organism. possibility. What are the possibility of this infection? Ultra early horizontal transmission means mother to fetus baby, and second is maternal colonization from the unhygienic personal and obstetric practice. Microorganism. What are the microorganisms? What are the microorganisms usually we found? Klebsiella. Second is Acinetobacter, Enterococcus, E. coli, and others. One is PGI, another is daily based study. Late onset organism is also safe. Late onset, here there is Acinetobacter is too much high. When we use sepsis screen, what are the, because we know that what are the possibility of sepsis is low intermediate but could not rule out just clinical, means two risk factor positive but baby is clinically stable. Sepsis screen always do this to rule out the sepsis, not to rule in the sepsis. What are the parameters you use in sepsis screening? CRP, C-reactive protein, absolute neutrophil count, immature to total neutrophil ratio, and ESR. Sometimes many areas are used prolactin. Am I audible? Am I audible? কেউ কিছু শুনতে পাচ্ছে নাকি বলো কি আছে? To rule out sepsis rather than rule in late onset neonatal sepsis. If there is sepsis screen is negative, there is sepsis screen has high sensitivity and negative predictor, poor positive predictor. If any baby two sepsis screen is negative, you should rule out that this baby don't have sepsis. If sepsis screen positive, baby may or may not have sepsis. Where you do the sepsis screen? Early onset neonatal. What are the overwhelming suspicion of sepsis? Shock, scleroderma, DIC, seizure, pulmonary hemorrhage, collapse. In these cases, we are not do the sepsis screen. Means baby having shock, so no need to do the sepsis screen. You draw the blood culture and you start antibiotic. Baby having scleroderma. Scleroderma means hard bounding of the skin, tightness of the skin. Usually seen in sepsis, sometimes seen in prolonged hypothermia, or may be seen in dyslipidemia. Scleroderma is the not always due to the sepsis, but usually found maybe other cause. Scleroderma is the ominous sign of the neonatal death, or maybe bad danger, most danger thing in scleroderma. In this area, we are not do the sepsis screen. Do you get it? Interpretation of the sepsis screen. Sepsis, CRP is single most important parameter. Sepsis screen positive if two parameter is positive. Sepsis screen negative, carefully watch. Repeat sepsis screen after 12 to 24 hours. If there is two sepsis screen negative, you should rule out the sepsis. Symptomatic neonate with screen positive, start antibiotic. Here there is join করতে চাইছে নাকি? CRP versus prolactin. These are the acute phase reactor protein usually rise in the acute systemic inflammatory response syndrome. But here the prolactin is much more. Prolactin is easily detected early than the CRP. Blood gold standard to diagnosis sepsis. All episodes of sepsis or starting antibiotic. Maybe deteriorate, you continue to give the antibiotic and needs upgradation of antibiotic, you draw another blood culture. And we usually do the bacterial blood culture, not conventional BHI broth we are not used nowadays. Bacteria is better, and usually we can detect positivity within 20 or 48 hours of life, within 48 hours of the inclusion. In these cases, as like conventional, the conventional method BHI broth, there need of much more blood, but in neonates, little amount of blood drawing is also big issue. That is why bacterial culture what we use for this culture of this blood. How we approach the late onset neonatal sepsis? One is mild symptomatic, alternative explanation possible. How suspect. Second is clinical sepsis, means feature suggestive of systemic inflammatory response syndrome or multi-system. Strong suspicion means baby develops shock, baby having sclerema and severe acidosis. You strongly suspect the development of the septicemia. In mild and alternative explanation, if there is baby develop apnea on day 5 of life, preterm baby develop apnea on day 5 of life. So apnea may be apnea due to the apnea of prematurity, or apnea may be the late onset sepsis. In these cases, you should sepsis you rule out the alternative etiology. Second is, if there is clinical features of sepsis, feature suggestive of systemic inflammatory response syndrome, you start antibiotic after drawing blood culture. And strong suspicion, you always start antibiotic immediate after drawing the blood culture. When you do the sepsis, CSF study, every neonate with culture early onset sepsis, in case of early onset sepsis, if baby develop, baby have culture positive sepsis, then you do the lumbar puncture. And every late onset neonatal sepsis, you should do the lumbar puncture. Every late onset sepsis, you should do the lumbar puncture. In case of early onset sepsis, you do the lumbar puncture if there is blood culture is sterile, blood culture is positive. Because 30% of suspect of sepsis and 25% culture present late onset sepsis have meningitis. That is why these two things, we always do the LP in late onset sepsis every case. When you do the lumbar puncture, once baby stabilizes, that means if there is acidemia and all the, if there is baby required immediate inotropic support, all the things, you after stabilization, you do the lumbar puncture. You should do these things. One is cellular and biochemical parameter. Cellular and biochemical unchanged for 3 days if there is baby having sepsis. And gram-positive bacteria usually clear in 36 hours and gram-negative bacteria till 5 days. So usually once stabilized means within 48 hours, within 24 to 48 hours, you should do this. You should কেউ কিছু জয়েন করতে চাইছে? After within 48 hours, you should do the lumbar puncture in once initial stabilization, because we know that gram-positive bacteria clear within 36 hours of starting antibiotic. Gram-negative bacteria needs clear up to 5 days, and usually cellular and biochemical parameter in the CSF fluid is unchanged for past 3 days. If the baby develop meningitis, and when do the repeat lumbar puncture? If there is gram-negative organism, if there is atypical organism like fungus, or if there is any worsening or fresh neurological finding. How you interpret the lumbar puncture CSF fluid? You should know what is the normal of this preterm and term newborn and what is abnormal. Normal is preterm if WC count more than 25 and protein is abnormal. So suspect if there is among the cutoff value. If WC more than 25 and protein more than 170, or WC more than 100, or glucose less than 25. And among neonates with culture proven sepsis, if the WC more than 10, or glucose less than 25, or protein more than 170. Any of these things. This is preterm. And in case of term, suspected sepsis if WC count is more than 21 or glucose less than 20. In case of culture positive sepsis, culture WBC if there is more than 8 or glucose less than 20 or protein more than 120. This is microprotein. So WBC more than 8 or glucose less than 20 or glucose, what is the glucose level of the CSF? Glucose level is less than 60%, usually 60% of the blood glucose level. You should always check the CBG during the lumbar puncture. In early onset sepsis, you should not, suspected sepsis, you should not do the lumbar puncture. But proven by clinical symptomatic sepsis, you do. And late onset, every late onset sepsis, you do the lumbar puncture. Remember that in early onset culture positive sepsis, you do the lumbar puncture. Every late onset sepsis, you should do the lumbar puncture. Antibiotic after culture report. Why you, if there is antibiotic, specific antibiotic and there is narrow spectrum antibiotic, you should give. So there is less chance of the multi-type resistance. If there is empirical antibiotic is one is sensitive but clinically deteriorating, means drug is in vitro sensitive but in vivo this is not work. So you should consider second sensitive drug. Sometimes there is in vitro, in vivo sensitivity different. Suppose I give the empirical one drug which is resistance in blood culture but very stable. You can continue this drug. This is called in vivo sensitive but in vitro resistant. What are the duration of antibiotic you give? Every culture positive sepsis you should give the 14 days antibiotic. If there is meningitis, you give 21 days, and skin positive sepsis 5 days. If there is clinical sepsis, you should give 7 to 10 days. And suspected early onset neonatal sepsis, partial improvement, repeat CRP or procalcitonin assay and reevaluate clinical data. C-reactive protein or procal is positive, antibiotic for 5 to 7 days. If there is skin negative, clinical course is not suggestive, you stop the antibiotic as early as possible. Suspected early onset of neonatal sepsis. Neonates has both clinically evaluate the cause of other than sepsis and empirical upgrade the antibiotic if sepsis is suspected, strongly suspected. And after negative blood culture, asymptomatic may be stopped, symptomatic may be improved. If there is negative blood culture, symptomatic may be improved. Partial improvement, you do the sepsis marker, positive for 5 to 7 days, negative for stop. If there is symptoms is worsening, alternate diagnosis or upgrade the antibiotic. Fungal sepsis में तो पढ़ा बना. Fungal sepsis, when you think of the fungal sepsis, which type of neonates develop fungal sepsis? Those are preterm, less than 28 weeks, very low birth weight, and baby receive broad spectrum antibiotic more than 7 days, prolonged invasive ventilation, prolonged PPN, and presence of central venous catheter, and persistent thrombocytopenia and unexplained hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, or there is GI surgery, we are suspecting the fungal septicemia. In fungal septicemia, you do the routine blood culture, true blood culture consecutive, and suprapubic urine for the fungal IV, early report, and disseminated fungal infection. Either skin the eye, and you also do the echo, and also you do the ultrasound to fungal ball in renal or cardiac. Right. In our side, we use the first line fluconazole or second line amphotericin B injection. What are the preventive measures? Probiotic, sometimes in very low birth weight, you decrease the NEC, late onset sepsis. Oral lactoferrin also decreases the NEC stage 2 or late onset neonatal sepsis. IVIG, sometimes we give the IVIG, 3% decreases in sepsis and 4% in serious infection, and not associated with decrease in other clinical important outcomes. So that is why we are not give IVIG nowadays. Adjuvant therapy other than antibiotic. Sometimes we use the pentoxifylline in case of late onset sepsis. Sometimes use IVIG, but IVIG not decrease in mortality. Sometimes few centers also use the exchange transfusion to remove the circulating cytokines. But this exchange transfusion, there is RCT, not many well-designed RCT is not available. So whether this is the adjuvant or not, one knows. But few centers also do this exchange transfusion. So key point is the neonatal sepsis definition is challenging. Not all sick newborn are septic. We always think that sick is means sepsis. Always have differential diagnosis means intraventricular hemorrhage, patent ductus osseosa, necrotizing enterocolitis, anemia, viral infection. Use sepsis appropriately. In viral infection, in COVID situation, there is many neonates present with only febrile episode. Use sepsis appropriately and procalcitonin better for available screen. Thank you. Anyone having questions? Anyone have question? Any question?
ভাইয়া তোমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছ না?
ঠিক আছে, ওকে 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 লিখো। চলো মেডিসিন ক্লাস শুরু হয়ে গেছে, চলো চলো চলো।